Hello YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and this is Outsiders and welcome back. This is my 6th mailbag programme. Thank you very much for all the questions that we've had coming in. A few simple ones to begin with. Apologies that I haven't noted down your name. I've got specific questions I want to come to in my 10 minutes of time. One was, how did we create the map programmes? The maps for Plexa and things like that. That was using a CC3 program. It's readily available. Check it out. I find it invaluable. I've also been asked a question around different handouts that I'm doing. I'm currently working on a project at the moment, and I will do that as a follow-up video this week if all goes according to plan. But these are the key questions that I want to focus on if I can. The first one is a big thank you to somebody called Accretive Product. I'm sorry if I've spelt that wrong or said that wrong spell. He's obviously enjoying the videos, which is lovely. He's asked the following question. I'm not sure the characters will be balanced. First off, he's DMing a game with 2 friends, and he's got an adventure that he's planned out, but unfortunately he's not too sure whether the group that he's got is going to be balanced because he's got these 2 friends. One of his friends is going to be playing a monk and the other one is playing a druid. He's wondering whether he should play a paladin to try and balance it off. What are my thoughts and feelings on that? Personally speaking, if I'm being honest, I'm going to call you AP if that's okay, because I won't get your name right. If I'm being honest, what I would do in this situation is let the 2 players play the druid and the monk. They're great classes. Scale your game down to match them. The monk can fight, but it's obviously not technically a front line fighter. But so could the druid actually. The druid's pretty tough. Depending on the route that the druid's going to go down, that's quite an interesting 1-2 punch. If necessary, I wouldn't, if I was being honest, I just wouldn't bother playing a character myself as a DM. It's your role really is to entertain them, and they're probably going to take a lead from your fighter, even though you might just want to play them along like a bag handler. It's just really not going to work. There's plenty of balance there in 2 characters. Just scale the game accordingly. Very simple tips for scaling. If you've got 2 characters, try not to put them up against odds where they're facing more than 2. It's very simple. If you have 4 characters, you could have 1 more than them, so 3 on 2, that sort of thing is the max. And if in doubt, scale down. So if you've got 2 opponents you think it's too tough, scale the creature down, give it slightly less hit points. Drop the armour class if you think the druid and the monk are going to struggle to get through it. Just generally start knocking things out. Just start thinking of it logically to make it fair for them, but it's still going to be a great challenge because of the classes. And that's pretty simple what I would do, to be honest with you, AP. It's a great, very good question. It's good to have you on board, and thank you very much for the question. This one is from a regular who's been sending questions in. This is Affexium. She's got quite a difficult problem actually. I've recently DM'd my first session and I feel it went very well. My problem is not with the game itself but with one of the players. Basically her character's alignment is chaotic neutral, but she was just using that as an excuse to be a complete, she was killing off my NPCs and creating conflict in the group. You did a video about how to combat this. I can't seem to find it. Anyway, if there's anything you can do to help me expand and sort out the problem, it would be much appreciated. Her actions weren't only harming her, but the other players. If she starts attacking the town guard, the other players are quite angry, as they have to join the fray and can't just leave the colleague to die. I think what they're saying there, what he's saying there, Faxim, is that she obviously created a situation that the characters had to join in with. This ended up with a near-death one of the players. I could have killed him, but didn't, as it seemed unfair to kill off the player in the first session because of someone else's actions. Everyone left bearing several scars. I don't want to tell her, look, you can't do that. As part of what got me into role-playing was the fact that nearly anything can happen. But she needs to learn that her actions are not just hurting herself but the group. And I mean, we didn't even get round to the story. They were in a town, we were meant to meet a mysterious contact, but as soon as they arrived she started killing people, so the entire session was just combat with very little role-play. It's a great question actually for new DMs. I mean, often players will railroad your games. How do you deal with that? What are the steps you need to take? If I was in your shoes, if I'm being honest, Affexium, it's pretty simple here. Would I have allowed the PC to die because of some players' actions? I'll be honest, I'm going to be very controversial here. Yes, I would. Do you know why? Because in all my years of experience, I've found that it is sometimes better to let the dice fall where they will. And I'll try and explain this, if I can, in a roundabout way, which is, obviously I DM for several groups, and I think the key is, just so you get some idea of my background here, if you're not already familiar with it, I have one group I've been DMing with for 25 years. That's a very large group at the moment, we've got 7 players. It's been obviously a huge success for 25 years. But that's not the only group I DM with. I DM with 2 other groups at the moment, mainstay groups. One of them's 15 years in the making and the other one's 10. So as you can tell, groups tend to stick it out with me. So where I'm going with this is I'm just validating my position. If it was me, I'd have let the character die, if I'm being honest. Because you will find that the players will do the work for you in a little bit. Yeah, that player's going to be piddled off. Not at you, though. You're not the one that caused his death. That's the other player that calls that. Don't pull any punches with anybody. Make it clear it's repercussion for actions. You know, you actually, in this situation, she's running amok. She's pushing you. And players will push you as a DM. How far can we go with you before you'll do something? It's a first session as a DM. You know, you should be complimented for the efforts in that. It's very difficult to get people together. But somebody here went out of their way to actually make it very difficult for you. And that is very, very, it's poor, isn't it? I don't care. Alignments, we could have a video on alignments. You know, I don't really care much for alignments because I think players can justify any old crap that they want, quite frankly. So I'm going to say this. This is how I would deal with it. The bottom line is take her to one side before the start of the next session. Preferably talk to her person to person and just explain that what happened in the last session just cannot continue. The thing is, you're going to play repercussion for action. So if she starts killing people off for no real reason, don't be surprised that you've killed the miller's wife and the miller comes after you with a posse of other people from the village, and before long so do the town guards. Hey, who knows, you're wanted for murder and the other players are wanted as accomplices. Don't be surprised the campaign comes to a shutting end and you're asking the players to roll characters because of your actions. And don't be surprised when the other players don't want you back. That's the reality check. And she probably is a good friend of yours and all that, but the reality is it's a game, it's an entertainment for all those around the table, that includes you as a DM, and it's not fair that one person, i.e. hogs the limelight, and B, does it in such a crappy manner to actually take the enjoyment away from yourself who's put the hard work in to run a game, and the other players who've turned up, I'm sure were pretty annoyed about it, to be honest, who bailed her out. So yeah, let the dice fall where they will. Don't be afraid to do it. It sounds tough, but I'm coming from a point of experience here. You breed good players with this, and eventually the players take control of it for you. As I've used the phrase before, good players are like good golfers. They call their own fouls, but at the same token, they won't tolerate any nonsense from players. Everybody knows, I love, like anybody does, I love a good debate between characters, and I love that interplay. But good players know where that fine line is and how not to cross it. They can both not like each other, but still follow a story. No one minds that, but this is clearly too far. So Effexim, hopefully those words of advice echo with you, and they're of some use to you. Anyway, I've been Sean Connors. This has been Outsiders. Until the next time, take care of yourselves and happy gaming. See you soon.